Now, the media might have fun with this, but I began telling your spokesperson, Dmitry Peskov, a story about a frog before this meeting. Sometimes I feel like we are like that frog at the bottom of a well. We sit there and think that what we see from the well is the whole world. But unfortunately, the world is different. Sometimes I'm very disappointed that we are not able to respond to global movements within the European Union, even though we greatly value the EU as our living space. But I don't understand some of the decisions being made. Therefore, Mr. President, I want to openly say at this meeting that it is very important for us to standardize our bilateral relations. I want to propose a meeting of the Joint Commission as soon as possible. We should return to what was typical for our countries, meaning deeper, stronger, and more successful economic cooperation. I want to thank you for the safe and regular gas deliveries that we receive through Turkstream. The volume is gradually increasing, reaching nearly 4 billion cubic meters. I emphasize very firmly, we harshly respond to any attacks on our critical infrastructure. I am going to meet with the Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky in Uzhhorod on Friday and will vigorously raise this issue. It's unacceptable that infrastructure vital to Slovakia is attacked in this way. You know our view on the European Commission's decision regarding REPowerEU, meaning the cessation of transporting gas and oil from January 1st, 2028. We will never support this decision. We will vote against it in the EU. But I am convinced that much can change by January 1st, 2028. And that REPowerEU, the EU plan aiming at rapidly reducing the dependence on Russian fossil fuels, this highly harmful decision, will not be valid. Therefore, I repeat, we want to continue cooperating in the energy sector. We are interested in supplies of Russian gas and oil. We are keen to collaborate in other areas as well. And I can say that the Slovak Republic want to build a completely new state-managed nuclear reactor with capacity of about 1,100 megawatts. We are communicating with the U.S. Westinghouse company. You know well that all existing Slovak reactors are of Soviet, Russian manufacture. Nuclear power in Slovakia generates more than half of Slovakia's electricity consumption. I would welcome if there was Russian-U.S. cooperation on this new project, and I will encourage specialized Russian companies to communicate with Westinghouse for such opportunities. Therefore, if you agree, esteemed Mr. President, I propose setting a date for the meeting of the Joint Commission. I think we are moving forward. We have started issuing visas for Russian citizens. We are within Schengen. It's complicated, but I see no reason why the standardization of relations between our countries shouldn't continue. Esteemed Mr. President, as I mentioned, I am not coming with any message. On the contrary, on many topics related to the Ukrainian conflict, I have diametrically different positions than some EU member states. Therefore, I want to use this meeting, esteemed Mr. President, to see if perhaps I should bring back a message from you. We closely followed the summit you held with the U.S. President, which I congratulate you on. It was a significant step you've taken, and I would greatly appreciate basic information on where we stand, what we can expect. On the one hand, I am heavily criticized for being in Beijing and for meeting with you. On the other hand, everyone will call tomorrow asking what President Putin said, what's going on. So I would appreciate it if we exchange some basic information in this regard. Once again, thank you for this opportunity. I am pleased to see you. I am glad we are taking step by step towards developing our relations. I remind you once again that we are in the EU. We are facing a serious decision regarding Ukraine's membership in the EU. It is a significant decision. We affirm that every country has a right to a European perspective, including Ukraine. But at the same time, we emphasize that Ukraine must meet all conditions for joining the EU and that political criteria cannot overtake the readiness of this state to join. I believe this will be a significant topic which I will discuss with President Zelensky on Friday. We support Ukraine's freedom. I am very glad my words have come true that Ukraine cannot join NATO. I was saying this very clearly from the beginning. I hope this topic is definitively settled. But regarding the EU, it is a subject which we are prepared to work on very intensively. So once again, thank you, and I think I have covered several topics that we could discuss together. Thank you very much.
25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest newsmakers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the U.S. will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HT videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.